The last 24 hours has been insane for the video game industry. Neil Druckmann is dropping the Last of Us TV series. Microsoft laid off thousands of employees, and that means lots of Xbox developers, plus tons of projects got canceled. And now we're finding out that Geo Media is winding down and Kotaku has been sold off. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, of course, the access media has become very irrelevant over the past couple of years with the rise of individual content creators such as myself and social media platforms being more popular than ever. People do not need to go to the Kotakus, the Polygons, the gamers to feed them BS. And unfortunately for the few people that still work at these outlets, that means that they are not going to be able to hold on to their jobs for much longer. And now we're finding out that Geo Media is winding down, Kotaku has gotten sold off, and while there are some people saying, oh my gosh, this is actually good, and this is exactly what these people who work there wanted to happen, I don't think so. So it says Geo Media, the digital media publisher that once owned sites like Jezebel and Deadspin, announced on Wednesday that it was winding down its operations and selling off one of its last properties, the video game website Kotaku. Kotaku is a shell of the outlet that it once was. Nobody really goes there anymore for legitimate gaming news, and everybody thinks that the activists who work at these sites are absolutely laughable individuals. These people do not take their jobs seriously because they never really cared about the video game industry and they don't really care about the state of the industry. They simply care about getting a paycheck, and well, they have pushed away the audience they would need to get a bigger paycheck. So I don't think any of us are particularly shocked that Kotaku was struggling and Geo Media was struggling, but now we're finding out that this is happening, and honestly, I think that it is funny. So it says Geo Media, which is owned by the private equity firm Great Hill Partners, once owned a collection of websites that had belonged to the Gawker media blog universe and The Onion, but it has slowly been shedding its holdings. With the sale of Kotaku, only one website remains, The Root, which covers black culture news. I didn't even know what The Root was. So they clearly haven't marketed it very well. But Geo Media's chief executive, Jim Spanfeller, said in a statement on Wednesday that it became clear to our investors that it was time to move on, alluding to a series of challenges that the digital media industry has faced in recent years. Publishers have been battling for advertising against tech giants like Google and Meta, while generative AI is reshaping the media landscape. Investors don't see a promise of growth in digital publishing in the way they did before the pandemic. The problem lies in the people that they are hiring, because look at individuals like myself, for example, independent content creators, whether they are on X or on their own blogs or on YouTube. People are looking at individuals instead of corporations now, because unfortunately, you can't trust companies and you can't trust even the people who are part of the access media, especially in the gaming industry, because they're paid to shill. You can't trust them because they're getting a big fat paycheck. The only reason why they have been able to survive this long is because of the access that they got. That's why companies will go out of their way to support the Xboxes and the Nintendos and the Sonys, even if a situation is really bad and everybody else hates it, because they want to be able to get press release material, exclusive interviews, access to products early. It's the only way they have scraped by until now. People do not trust the Alysa Mercantes of the industry, and that's become increasingly clear, especially since kind of the start of a Gamergate 1 all the way back in 2014, and it's just gotten significantly worse. When you can go to a Kotaku or The Gamer and at least once a week or twice a week, they're publishing an article that talks about how much they hate gamers, yeah, you can't be really shocked when the gamers do not support you anymore. Now, I think another major part of this that is not being mentioned by the access media is the fact that they are getting sued to hell and back, and we don't know what's going to happen now. I mean, this was only back in March, so not even that long ago. Bobby Kotick had filed a defamation suit against Gizmodo and Kotaku. So this entity that has now purchased Kotaku is the same one that had previously actually purchased Gizmodo. So it seems that all the slop is going to be in one pile, but the former Activision boss Bobby Kotick had filed a defamation suit against Geo Media over a pair of 2024 articles. So it seems that Geo Media just wanted to wind down operations as quickly as possible, and they were like fire sailing some of these outlets. We don't know for sure a lot of the details. They also didn't say how much they purchased Kotaku for, and I know that there are some people out there who think that Kotaku is worth quite a lot, actually, because they have had a long time to gain an audience, right? Kotaku is a notable name, but just because we know the name doesn't mean we trust the name, and we know that the clicks on their site have drastically decreased. A record of a March 11th defamation filing titled Robert Kotick vs. Geo Media can be viewed in Delaware court records, but the complaint itself is not currently publicly available. Courthouse News, which first reported on the suit, writes that Kotick is seeking damages to be determined at trial regarding articles on former Geo Media site Gizmodo and current Geo Media site Kotaku, and now we know that they're both not owned by Geo Media anymore. And as context into Kotick, the article both discussed a California Civil Rights Department investigation into Activision Blizzard that was settled in 2023. The final California settlement makes note that no court or any independent investigation has substantiated any allegations. Now, you guys know I do not like Bobby Kotick, but I also do not like Kotaku, so it's a trash individual going after a trash organization. It really doesn't matter to me in this case who wins or who loses, but I'm curious to see what is actually going to happen with this whole entire case at this point. I mean, Bobby Kotick is such a influential man because he was actually in talks to buy TikTok, and that means that he's also filthy rich. And from what we've heard, he's also pretty vindictive. Like, he is definitely willing to fight something like this tooth and nail, whether it is Geo Media and Jim Spanfeller or the company that ended up buying Gizmodo and Kotaku, known as Kelly Ops. We don't know what will happen now, though at the end of the day, I think that Bobby Kotick wants to prove a point, and his net worth is, over $1 billion. So he definitely can throw a lot of money at this. Now, there are some people like the Kotaku former senior editor, Alysa Mante, who have come out and said that this is actually a win for the journos by saying, if you're saying this is bad news for Kotaku, you're stupid. This is what everyone on the team has wanted for years. The promise of it is what kept most of us there longer, despite how we were treated by Jim and Leia. She goes on to say Spanfeller, making anti-union remarks in his statement, says all that you need to know about him. Oh, that, and the first time he met me, he loudly called me G.I. Jane in the office kitchen because I had a shaved head, and he, I presume, has no cultural knowledge outside of the 80s and 90s. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Jim Spanfeller's a great guy, same way I wouldn't sit here and say that Bobby Kotick is a great guy either, but at the end of the day, this is not a big win. This is them trying to weasel their way out of a lawsuit and try to, confuse entities and lawyers, and them trying to say, well, it's not our worry anymore, right? It's not Geo Media's responsibility anymore because you guys were posting articles where you trashed Bobby Kotick, and he tried, as far as we are aware, to reach out to you and get your reports clarified, and you big good journalists who always tell the truth refuse to actually tell the truth. So I think that this is hilarious all around. This is not a big win for these journos, and sure, I do think that it technically is some kind of win for them because Kotaku lives to see another day, but with the state of the industry, I don't think that Kotaku is going to be around for long. I personally believe that Kotaku is bought for fucking pennies because of how worthless it is at this point and how little trust there is, but there are tons of people saying, this is an ultimate shud victory with Geo Media being shut down, and yeah, Kotaku narrowly escaped death, but it's not going to be for long, so I'll be keeping my eye on this, though as of right now, we are getting some major information that Geo Media is winding down, and I can't say that I'm going to shed a tear for these activist losers. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.